Hey guys, Levy Freeman here. Today we're playing some more Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich mod, I guess. So I was going to do the South American countries, and I actually recorded two Argentina videos, which like went okay. I didn't really have any issues with them, but both times I had really unlucky rolls, and Germany died before mid 1941. They were just toast, and it was immediately obvious that like after you finished up in South America as Argentina, like you kill Brazil, early or like December 39, early 1940, you unify South America, and that's just not quite fast enough to get the power up you need to carry the Germans before they died in those situations. Like maybe there's a way to rush it a bit more, but both cases I had bad rolls with Germany, and they were just fucking done. And it was obvious they were done. I wasn't gonna be able to save them. And so at that point you don't join the Reichspakt as Argentina, and your game's done, right? You unified South America already. There's no faction to join. You can sit around and like manually justify on people or it, but like basically your campaign is already done in 1940. Then if Germany's already dead, so I wasn't really happy with those two campaigns because of that. So I decided to shelve that. So I think I'm gonna play as Mongolia today, but I'm also gonna try like some custom game rules over here. Like I had this one over here, and then we'll see. So I've strengthened the Germans 3 points, and I have the only other thing I changed over here is to make sure that like the Poland aligns with Germany. Yeah, I had Kingdom of Spain also avoid their skip their civil war. That might be excessive. I don't know. And the rest of it is, Belgium would join the Reichspakt, and the rest of the stuff would just be either neutral or Reichspakt aligned. So what happened in the previous games that I did? It's like game one, I had Belgium formed, and they declared independence. Switzerland decided to join the Third Internationale, and the Netherlands joined the Third Internationale, and they just walked through the fortification lines and killed Germany. And it was a joke it was basically a joke, right? German took up token resistance, and also Austria-Hungary wasn't able to help them because they were still stuck in with the Balkan War at that time. The second game, Belgium formed and joined the Internationale, and then Ukraine joined the Internationale, and Austria got killed by its own puppets. They did the military occupation path, I guess, and they lost to Bohemia. So that was that, right? And then Germany died, and like didn't even make it. They made it to mid 1940 that game, and they were done. The game fell apart. So I think maybe some of those game rules will make for a more balanced approach, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. So I'm going to be playing a few games as not a Well Creek 2 faction. Like we'll play over here in China some more or something like that. And we will see if the rule set helps Germany have more of a longer game, if we can draw it out, and the Germans won't just fold immediately. I've also set the Austrians to do their Reformation peacefully, so they should federalize peacefully. And I think that'll make them a little bit stronger. This might be overkill. I think I'm not happy with the. I think we'll just have the usual three-way in Civil War. We'll have the three-way Spanish Civil War, and then we'll just go with the rest of the settings here. So, Democratic Netherlands, status quo Saviour crisis, Democratic Denmark, neutral Norway, Democratic Sweden, Kingdom of Finland, and then White Ruthenia is like the German friendly stuff all over for their puppets, so we don't have to worry about Ukraine jumping ship on them or something like that and having a giant hole against Russia. So we'll set that up, and we'll see if those settings will make for a better or more balanced Wall Creek 2. But today we're going to play as Mongolia, as the mad lad Roman von Ungern Sternberg, who we'll just lock in over here. Those are the rules I already showed you them that we're playing with. So, of course, Roman von Ungern Sternberg as Mongolia back in the day in Kaiserreich was, this is one of like the best campaigns in the game, in my opinion. Roman von Ungern Sternberg would declare himself as Genghis Khan too. People say this is madness. It's completely insane. But he'd do it, and then you get war goals against pretty much everything that was in the previous previous Mongol Empire. I think he even got war goals on Persia, if I remember correctly. But that was a pretty rough campaign, though. Usually you're at war with Japan and Russia, because Feng Tian would try and take you out, and so would the Russians would go to war with you over some slice of railway land that you owned over here. So that was a difficult campaign. I played it a few times, but it was pretty fun, pretty challenging. You have multiple fronts. Multiple front war against Russia and Japan, who are both kind of stronger than you are. So it was like kind of cool to try and clutch it out. I don't think I ever managed to do the full reclamation, but I was able to get some pretty good runs in there as Genghis Khan too. But that's gone. The developers decided that was too much fun. You weren't allowed to do that. It was unrealistic and a bunch of other shit that didn't matter. So now you're just Roman von Ungern Sternberg. You can't declare yourself the reincarnation of Genghis Khan. And you've got some other wacky paths to go on here too if you want to. Like I don't know why you would want to ditch Roman von Ungern Sternberg, the Mad Lad, but you could if you wanted to. I can call him the Mad Baron. So we have his bio over here, which we'll read, I guess. Roman von Ungern Sternberg, the Mad Baron, had a troubled upbringing, constantly moving in with his father, who was committed to an insane asylum. His family estate in Estonia was burned down in 1905, which confirmed his anti-peasant and eventually anti-communist beliefs. He eventually joined Pavlovsko Military School in St. Petersburg, where he became interested in the occult and Buddhism. After graduation, he was transferred to Siberia, where he became known for his heavy drinking and dangerous moods. In 1913, he moved to Kovd in Outer Mongolia as an officer in the detachment of the Russian consulate, after not being allowed to fight for Mongolian independence. In the First World War, Ungern fought first in Galicia, then, after a 2-month prison stint following attacking another officer in a drunken rage, in the Caucasus. After the breakout of the Russian Civil War, he fought with Semenov and the Whites in Siberia, acting relatively independently against the communists. Ungern eventually traveled through China, where he married Manchu Princess Ji. Eventually, he moved to Urga and defeated the Chinese garrison stationed there, restoring the Bogd Khan to the throne and proclaiming Mongolia independent. Ungern himself did not get too involved in Mongol problems, but he kept the peace through force. After narrowly defeating a socialist revolution in 1921 and 1924, he was forced to get more involved. His forces prowled the streets as he hunted out dissidents and purged Mongolian society, including in temples. When the 9th Jetsundaba Kutuku was brought to Urga in 1933, Ungern promised he would rule as a regent until the boy came of age. However, with Ungern's grip dependent on his Russian military clique, there are fears he will keep power for himself. So there's that, I guess. He does have an actual trait here. He gives us negative 15 stability. That's a little bit harsh. But he's going to give us some more support and 5% cavalry attacks. You get that with your Mad Lad here, with your boy. So we got here Nomadic Society. Daily political power gain. It's a pretty hefty hit, actually. A pretty hefty hit. But this gives us stability, so it kind of cancels each other out a little bit. Also cancels out the war support gain we get, and we're gonna take a 15% research speed hit and our factory bomb vulnerability. That's fine. So a little bit of buff there. We get Scourge of the Steeps, which gives us some additional recruitable population, additional cavalry attack and defense, and additional 5 division limit. We have Russian economic assistance, which gives us consumer goods factories minus 5% and construction speed 15%. I think this goes away like almost immediately though when Russia gets hit by their Black Monday fallout and so on and so forth. And the 9th Jetsundaba Kutuku, born Champai Namdrol Chokol Gyaltsen. It's a spiritual leader of Mongolia, Mongolian Buddhism. Currently, he's far too young to lead the nation, but he is still a unifying figure for most Mongolians. Okay, so he gives us some stability. So we have a lot of stuff washing in and out for stability. And our war support, I guess. So that's that. We are Natty Pop here. We have, I guess, Ungern's military clique. And so we got 48% popularity, so not bad. And our political power gain 1.81 per day is a little bit in the light side, but it's not terrible. We have extensive conscription that we started on, which is a bit concerning because of our population count not being all that high, even with the additional 1%. We have a limited export economy, which means you have access to more of your resources, but you get worse buffs for construction speed, research speed, and factory output. Let's take a look at a trade over here, and we have like basically no resources. So having a closed or having limited exports is like pretty not great at the moment. And we start on Bullet's economy, which is better than Toaster economy, so that's a plus. And in our government here, we got Boris Rezukin. Gives us army experience gain, max planning, and land fort construction speed. So like that's a good one to have if you're gonna be doing some fighting. Max planning, of course, always good. We got political power gain. We got construction speed for like infrastructure and air bases, radar stations. Like that's not awful. I mean, there are better ones out there. Like, probably you want factory construction speed is a bit stronger, or like production efficiency or output or something like that. But this isn't terrible. And this guy over here is power gain stability. So like overall, like these guys are compared to some of the other cabinets of the game, these guys aren't too bad. We got maneuver, fire support, psychology, defense, decisive battle, static defense, elastic defense, guns and butter. Nothing for navy, and battlefield support, carpet bombing, and air superiority. So it looks like you get most of the big ones. Yeah, you'll pretty much get the ones that you need. Maneuver. You don't get the one over here for the tanks though. But it's alright. You got like generic manufacturers across the board. We actually have a small ship manufacturer we can hire. Huh? Go figure. So generic companies, like nothing special there. Decisions. We are, I guess, still have the Chinese army reform debuff, which is pretty shite. Pretty shite. So we're gonna have to spend our army experience on that. It's nice that we get our boy Boris over here who gives us experience gained daily. Intelligence agency, we don't have one. I mean, that's to be expected. We have 2 research slots, and of course the negative buff on our research speed. So what we got here. We got basic rifles, and we've got mountaineers. We have engineers. No tanks. We have basic artillery. No doctrines. No naval stuff, I guess, obviously, because we're a landlocked country. No air. No air doctrine, no engineering, and no industry. It's like only a few things. It's not as bad as some other countries. I guess better than we were as Kumokane, but still not a whole lot going on. I think like right off the hop, we'll pick up our machine tools. And you want your like actual gun as opposed to like this is like twice as good as this. Like this is a soft attack 6. This is soft attack 3. So it's like you definitely want to be on this rifle. You don't want to waste time building this shit. We do have 2 consumer goods, or 2 factories available. Diplomacy, we have some people who like us, some people who don't. No treaties. Trade, we just have 2 steel and 5 chromium, which we're not going to be using probably ever. So that's a bit like basically 2 steel. We have, I guess, 1 available probably because we have more than that because of our law. Exported -1. It's like we're getting very little value out of this. We're not hitting the round points. We're getting very little value out of this limited exports. Probably we want to be on free trade. And yeah, so basically no resources of note. And I don't know, this stuff over here. I'll have to look at our tree or something first. I haven't seen this tree yet, so we'll go through that. We have 2 factories. Production, we have 2. I guess we would just build guns. 2 factories, like unless you want to make like a 7-2 division, which I don't think is ideal. And even then, like you probably want a different ratio. But like if you only have 2 factories, probably just building guns. Now we have 10 things in stockpile. 10 guns in stockpile. 12 with infantry we got here for this template. We got 8 with militia. And we've got 8 with cavalry, so like kind of shitty templates, but it'll do for these early wars against these. Like I'm pretty sure like if our enemies are like the Mock League and these guys and maybe the Kumals, like they probably have like equally shitty templates, so that's fine. Okay, so up here, political power gain 1.81 per day. 48% party popularity, 37 stability is a bit low. We got a pretty average war support, a bit higher than average. Recruitable population is a bit sketchy, and we have only 5 factories, 2 military and 3 civilian. Fuel, we have 54.5k stockpile and nothing other than the base gain. And we have the usual zeros for convoys and army experience, I guess, so that's fine. Army, we've got, looks like 2 divisions of the 12-width infantry and 4 divisions of the 4-width cavalry. No Air Force, and I guess obviously no Navy. So that's what you get when you start out and you lock in Mongolia. So national focus branches, I guess probably we're going to try and stay on Ungern's path if we can. I imagine there's probably some sort of bullshit Civil War visual novel game you have to play and you might get cucked. But probably want to stay with Ungern. He seems like he has the most interesting tree anyways. But you have the option for democracy. This is just stability and political power or popularity, war support. It's just soft stuff, it looks like. You have the nobles take power. So again, this looks like basically just soft stuff. And this, I guess, purges the Russian generals, okay. You can have the Buddhist Revolution over here, so it's stability, political power, and none of this stuff seems all that interesting. And you purge the Russians again here. So it looks like you purge the Russians all these paths. There's nothing special in here other than it looks like some party popularity, some stability, maybe some war support, political power. None of these trees seem like any of these focuses are all that interesting. These are all 7 days though, so it is possible Kublai Khan had some hidden focuses, maybe you get something like that. Ungern's Mongolia. It looks like more of the same shit. It's you get different stability and party popularity and stuff. And this, of course, you keep your generals. So I don't know. I guess given a choice of throwing out all your generals or keeping them, I guess you'd probably rather keep them. This guy over here. It's who are our best generals, anyways? You got Fort Buster and Guerrilla Fighter over here for this guy. This guy's actually pretty good. Cavalry and infantry officer. I mean, that's not terrible. Boris Rezekin here. He's a harsh leader. Infantry officer, politically connected, not great. Trickster. The man himself is a cavalry leader. So this guy's not bad. He's got a whole lot of attack. And this guy over here, war hero, old guards. I don't know, nothing too special over here. We do have an organizer, so we'll be able to get logistics wizard, which might be important for fighting in these areas over here. And then probably just make a bunch of cavalry and use Roman. Roman, I guess. This guy has no learn traits, but he's got 2 assigned already. So this guy is also might not be bad for maybe make him a field marshal and have Roman lead the cav from the front. I don't know. But that's what you get. These guys over here, we can convert these guys to cavalry. Maybe just play we have the buff to cavalry, so that might be a smart plan to use cavalry instead of infantry. Start doing that, I guess, and we'll start building we got here for building slots. We have 1 building slot, 2 building slots. What do we get over here in the other part of the focus tree? I should do before we continue here. So we get 2 bonuses for industry. So it looks like we are unable to actually take anything until we complete our initial event chain. But this gives us 2 bonuses for industry and 2 building slots. 1 civilian factory, 1 building slot and infrastructure, industrial research bonus. I guess we can build some infrastructure with that, probably. That's what that does, I would imagine. Adds 1 empty assignable trade slot. That's good. To have good generals if we're able to farm them. It gives us land doctrine, army experience gain, and extra planning skill. Okay. We get 1 military factory, another civilian factory, another military factory. So it looks like you get 4 factories off your focus tree, which isn't a huge amount. You get some research bonuses for various shit. Encryption methods, decryption methods, and computing. So I guess that's just computing if you have lab resistance DLC. And a bunch of bonuses for weapons and equipment. Land doctrine. Supply consumption, division attrition, and division speed bonus. Like that's pretty good. Yes, national spirit, division limit, and recruitable population up. Recruitable population and division limit up again. And again, so it's like you take stability hits when you do this, but you get an extra. That's 4%, and an extra 7 divisions. It looks like you can get through there if you were inclined to do so. So that's interesting, I guess. So I don't see any focuses for any war goals here, which is a bit concerning. Like I said, I've never played this country before since the China rework, so blind run. Let's maybe go ahead and build an infrastructure in... Where's the Urga at? It's our capital, right? It's over here, yes. We would want to build an infrastructure over here, I guess. Let's go for it. Build one infrastructure, which take almost a year to complete. And let's go ahead and start our game. The history of Mongolia. Mongolia was under the control of the Manchu Qing dynasty for centuries until the 1911 Xinhai Revolution led to Mongolian independence under the 8th Jetsundaba Kutuku, the head of Mongolian Buddhism, who took the title of Bogd Khan. China still claimed Mongolia as Chinese territory, and Mongolia's independence was shattered in 1919 when Zhu Xuzhang, a Chinese warlord of the Anhui clique, occupied the country. However, in 1920, Roman von Ungern Sternberg, a White Russian military leader, leading his Asiatic Cavalry Division, took Urga from the Chinese and restored the Bogd Khan. Ungern enforced his rule with an iron fist, crushing revolts and dissidents while making deals with the aristocratic Mongol princes. The Mongol Ardennam, a socialist party inspired by the Bolsheviks, was formed and began a revolution in 1921 to overthrow Ungern's regime. Due to lack of foreign support, this revolution failed, and the MAN were forced to go into hiding. Following the death of the Bogd Khan in 1924, the MAN rebelled again, claiming Ungern no longer held any legitimacy in the country. This revolution was harshly repressed, and multiple senior members of the MAN, including their leader Damdin Sukpatar, were executed, and the MAN were forced into hiding once more. This time, Ungern made deals with Russian government for economic and military support. Ungern was also able to seize Zilingol from the Chinese Guominjun. Ungern's rule was still shaky, however, and following a series of peasant uprisings in 1930, led primarily by Buddhist lamas, Ungern purged many high-ranking lamas in his government, destroying much of the support he had accrued over the years. With the death of the Bogd Khan, the hunt began for the 9th reincarnation of the Jepsundaba Kutuku, who was eventually found in 1933 in Lhasa, Tibet. He is brought to Urga to be pruned for leadership while Ungern rules as regent until he's old enough. What about now? In 1936, Ungern rule remains under threat. There are 4 main cliques that dominate Mongolian political society. The Rossiyskaya Voyanaya Klika are a clique of White Russian officers under the leadership of Ungern Sternberg. They focus on cooperation with Russia, military strength, and anti-socialism. They currently lead the country, working with Noyodian Zovlal and Budian Zovlal. The Noyodian Zovlal is the name of a council of Mongolian princes and nobles who have been ruling classes of the country for centuries. Focused on keeping their wealth and power secure, they are de facto led by the Inner Mongolian prince, Demchug Dongrub, and are dominated by Inner Mongolian princes from Zilingol. The Budian Zovlal are a council of high-ranking Buddhist lamas in Mongolia, which was formed following Ungern's purge of lamas in 1930. Members of the council are fanatic Buddhists who wish to turn Mongolia into a truly theocratic society. They are led by the 7th Chankaya Kutuku, a high-ranking lama from Inner Mongolia. The Mongol Ardennam, the socialist party who rebelled in 1921 and 24, remain in hiding, but they are still a strong force to be reckoned with. Led by Solin Danzan, they have taken some inspiration from Russian democracy and therefore have begun advocating for multi-party democracy. Mongolia also faces external threats. For many years, border skirmishes have taken place between the Muslim Chinese Ma clique and Mongolian troops across the border. A similar situation has taken place in the Dunzangaria region of the Xinjiang clique. The main point of tension is the province of Yushu, which has been swapped hands between Tibet and Ma clique over the past few years. The province is a powder keg waiting to explode, and when it does, the opportunity to unite Mongolian people cannot be ignored. Glory to Mongolia! And Kerensky dies. Man, the Ma clique have a lot of guys. The Russians aren't watching. This is like a throwback to when you When you got to play as Genghis Khan too, the Russians aren't watching was the thing that set off your expansion chain, and you could start to do expansionist things. But I guess this event is different now. An awful event has occurred. President Kerensky, who was able to keep the Russian Republic from open rebellion for decades, has been killed. During his presidency, we were able to broker many economic and military deals, allowing our extremely weak economy to grow. Although Kerensky did not allow the House of Romanov to rightfully retake the throne, he was still better than the Reds, and he allowed our relationship to grow strong. However, everything has been brought into question. Any sign of stability that Kerensky brought to Russian politics was lost the moment the bullet struck his body. With many trying to fill the power vacuum Kerensky has left, it seems we have been forgotten. There are worrying signs that we might lose Russian support that our nation has become dependent on. Their assistance is vital. Economic and military assistance from Russia has been temporarily halted. What we have feared has come true. We have just received word from the current Russian administration they have decided to temporarily end our military and economic aid to our nation. Without it, we will only suffer. A disaster, and we lose stability. And Suck Dem gets popularity. Gross. Jalama's bandits spotted in western Mongolia. Our nation is regularly plagued by banditry and raiding. Due to its sheer size compared to its minimal population, it is difficult to find these bandits and bring them to justice. However, following Ungern's ascension to power in 1921, he clamped down hard, sending his forces out into the deepest areas of Mongolia to root out bandit groups. The brutality of Ungern's forces have become rather famous in Mongolia, mercilessly torturing and killing any bandits, criminals, or resistance fighters they found. Many outlaws went into hiding for fear of being executed by what would have become known as Ungern's death squads. However, over the years, Ungern has been having more and more trouble in keeping Mongolia in his grip. MAN rebels still disrupt supply lines, and bandit activity has been growing more and more, especially in the west where troops are spread very thin. With Russian money, we were able to put down bandit forces, though through force and bribery. However, with Russia withdrawing their aid, many bandit groups seem to be coming out of their caves, most notably Jalama's Yum base bandits. Jalama was an independence fighter, radical lama, and warlord in the 1910s who tried to establish an independent Oryat empire. Though Ungern was an admirer of his, he murdered all the envoys we sent to him, and went into hiding. With the Russian aid ending and unrest growing in the west, it appears Jalama's followers uniting again, even though it's assumed Jalama himself is dead. Keep an eye on that. Toadlist Charter. Bandits raid carved villages. It appears that rumors of the Yum Bays bandits uniting once again are true. There are reports that multiple small nomadic villages just north of Kov have been raided by the group. By the time some government forces got there to evaluate, the villages were deserted, with most gairs being either torn down or in ashes. The bandits could be seen far in the distance, but their forces did not give chase, primarily due to the immense size of the group. The party was reportedly an extremely large size, and worse still, in the rubble of the villages, flags and the text of the band Mongol Arden Nam were found. Perhaps this is not mere banditry. This is a one-time thing, right? No, I don't think it will be, I guess. I can already feel my stability going negative. Bandits defeat local militia. Following the raids in nearby villages, the local tribal chief decided to act. He gathered a small force of militia from nearby tribes and villages armed with whatever weapons they owned, mostly sword or archaic rifles, and traveled out to confront them. 100 men marched with him, and hopes were high. It was assumed there would be little proper resistance, and the bandit party would disperse at the first sign of a battle. It was a massacre. Only a few of the chief's men on horseback were able to make it out of the confrontation alive. These survivors told stories of how the group was massive, perhaps over 1,000 men, armed with rifles smuggled in from Russia and China. One of the survivors even claims that he saw multiple figures, like MAN leader Solin Danzan, warlord Jalama, and even Genghis Khan himself. Though some of these reports can be disregarded as simple madness, the fact that Solin Danzan was even mentioned next to legendary figures like Genghis Khan is worrying. Are we blind? Deploy the Kov to garrison. Kov to city guard lay down arms. After sending out an official command to the garrison in Kov, we received a peculiar response. The leading officer stationed in Kov has sent us a message stating, "My troops refuse to fight against their brothers. For too long we have received nothing from Urga apart from demands that we kill our own countrymen. The only thing you, Unger and Sternberg, have done for us is murder our families in the name of securing your corrupt regime. It's time for change." Since this message, we have received nothing from either Kov nor the nearby city of Ulistai, the administrative capital of the region. All we have received is letters from chiefs and village leaders in the west, either pleading for help from revolutionary masses or declaring that they are no longer aligning with our government. What is going on? The Western Revolt. The situation in the West is far worse than we could have imagined. Over the past few years, the western region of the country has grown heavily dependent on aid and investment from Russia. With the Russian withdrawal of aid, many Russian businessmen pulling out their investments, the economy of the West collapsed. With that, radical lamas, power-hungry warlords, and the socialist Mongol Arden Nam swept in and gained mass support and formed a loose anti-government coalition. Now, earlier today, the mayors of Olestai and Kov have declared their allegiance to the rebels and have dismissed any pro-Ungaran officials from their administrations. It appears we've lost control of the west of the country, and though our military strength is far greater than that of the rebels, the chaos of this result will the chaos this revolt will cause gives Ungaran opponents in Urga the chance to dismantle this regime. Rebels must be crushed. Alright, what do we got here? We got some events. And there's Brack Monday. Western Revolt. Reinforced troops in the west is going to cost us some PP, which we do not have at the moment. Make the offer. We've received word that some bandit leaders are willing to help give up their arms for a bribe. We should consider this offer. Transfer the Tuvan garrison. Although the Tuvan garrison is not very large, they are decently loyal to the Urga government. Although their withdrawal from Kem Vladimir will cause some unrest, their men will bolster our forces. Great, so this is going to be like another fucking mini game over here. We're going to have to figure out which events we have to click to keep Ungaran. So this is a bit of a piss off. Let's make the offer. Today we received a letter from a few of the bandit leaders in the west. It said their groups do not have any stake in what has developed. They came for simple banditry, but it has turned out to be an all-out rebellion. The letter goes on to say that although the group continues to fight in the west, they would be willing to stop if given some money and supplies. It's a large amount of money, but which we will need to find, but it will help reduce the size of chaos in the west. So we have Othdam. I don't know, like, there is no paternal autocrat option here, so I think we just go with, we will not negotiate with bandits. Transfer the Tuvan garrison. I guess maybe that'll do something. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. And we will need to reinforce troops in the west. Following the start of the Western Revolt, the town of Ulangam, north of Kov and the border with Tuva, declared their allegiance to the rebels. However, a government-owned military base was very nearby, and upon hearing of the revolt, began a march to Ulangam to retake it for Ungaran's government. After hearing of the march of pro-government troops, the local leader of the Mongol Arden Nam, the school teacher Benzar Javin Bastianjav, hastily invigorated the peasants of the town to fight to defend it. They quickly put up a makeshift barricades and were supplied with weapons from a Tuvan merchant who was traveling through the town to deliver Russian weapons to the Khovd. As the government forces began to approach, Basanjav gave one last inspirational speech to the peasants, talking of how it was likely they would be defeated, but it was worth it for the greater cause. However, in a surprising twist, the peasants of Ulangam were able to fend off the government forces, with much of the town being destroyed in the process. News of this surprise victory is traveling fast, with MAN revolutionaries trying to push this as a Mongolian victory against Russian oppressors, and with pro-government military commanders realizing they cannot underestimate the strength of the rebels. Damn. I wonder if we got that because we moved the garrison. I don't know. We'll reinforce troops in the west. Demchugdongrub meets with Noyodin Zovlal. An emergency meeting of the Noyodin Zovlal led by aristocratic Prince Demchugdongrub is taking place today. The Mongol princes play a large part in our government, and we receive large amounts of wealth from taxes on their land and wealth. It is likely the princes are fearful of the Western Revolt, with it being a threat to their power. However, perhaps there is something more to this. Prince Demchugdongrub has not made it a secret that he believes Ungaran should be replaced by an ethnic Mongol. Whether he intends for that to be him, or if he continues to support the Ungaran regime, only time will tell. This is suspicious. He acting sus. The Budians of Law demand we allocate funds to repair raided monasteries. The Budians, Zavlal, their secretive council, are suspected of directly funding radical lamas currently taking part in the Western Revolt, have sent their government an official demand that the more funding is allocated to the monastery repair and protection to the west. With that region of the country in chaos, they state it's the government's duty to protect institutions that are key of Mongolian society. However, the amount of funding they demand is ridiculous, and it would be a massive burden to raise it by ourselves. So we have Nap Pop. I guess we will send them the money. I'm just kind of like making my my decisions here based off of what gets you party popularity. Oh God. Bandits burn Altai City, hundreds homeless. A group of bandits in the west have completely destroyed Altai City, raiding it for food and money, then razing the buildings to the ground. This has left hundreds of people without homes or food. It is our duty to try to help these people, but there are issues, primarily with securing the money for the aid and getting it to the people safely. Our main source of money currently is from the nobles' treasuries, but continuing to take their money will lead to further disdain from them. There is another option, however. We could also secretly send the aid to MAN rebels, who will reach Altai. Though it will make MAN look like the heroes, it will possibly save the lives of hundreds of people, or at least dissuade some of them from joining the rebellion. I will secretly cooperate with them, I guess. Yes, in the capital. With the Western Revolt in full swing, the rebels controlling key cities in the region, most of the army and senior military commanders have been forced to leave Urga. The modern Mongolian army is dominated at higher levels with the Russian staff, who hold extreme loyalty to Ungern and are members of his informal RVK. The loyalty of these key army figures is one of the main reasons Ungern was able to remain in power and entrench his regime. The issue for Ungern is obvious. With most of the RVK leaving Urga to deal with the West, opposing political factions are finally seeing their chance to act. The Mongol Ardent Nam have always had a strong presence in Urga, and there are rumors that many senior MAN officials like Solin Danzan and Anadian Amar have traveled to the city. Both the Budians, Lovlal, and the Mongol princes hold great influence in our government, and both stand ready to take over if given the chance. Ungern must walk a fine line between the factions if he is to survive the next few months. The rule is under threat. Uh-oh. Okay, so let's... Alright, so what do we have here? We need political power to do these things. Fight resistance in Urga. And crack down on the MAN. Can sow discord in the MAN. Can bribe aristocrats. Like, these are all tied to popularity, so I'm just wondering if it's like the highest popularity wins, of which we are currently 38. Cede power to Budian Zavlal, which will give them 5% political, 50 political power for that, though. And get 50 political power this way, too. Bribe aristocrats for 50. So reinforce troops in the west. There's 18 over here. Just like Napop will we'll do that, and we'll fight resistance in Urga. Monastery destroyed in siege. After a minor skirmish just outside the Kov between government forces and some rebel peasants, nearby Lama gave them refuge in his monastery. Government troops demanded the Lama relinquish the rebels, but he refused, and the peasants opened fire from inside the monastery. The government troops were able to defeat the rebels, but by the time the skirmish was over, the Lama was dead and the monastery had half collapsed. The Budians all heard the news and have requested we set aside funds to immediately begin the reconstruction of the monastery. My political power. I think if you can give political power to those guys, you might as well just get it from, where you get political power over here from it, right? Famine breaks out in Sichuan. Rebels take Kembladir after weeks of... Oh, that's not good. After weeks of fighting battles in the west, government troops are beginning to beat the rebels and bands down. A couple of battalions have been laying siege to Kov for a few days, and numbers bolstered by peasants tired of the chaos. Due to this, the road to the new center of the rebellion, Olastai, has been blocked, and some of the more organized rebels have been cut off. Instead of trying to defend Kov, these rebels have instead moved to the lightly defended Tuvan capital of Kembladir, and have easily taken the city. You'll have to be reclaimed before the rebellion is beaten. Damn, so I guess I shouldn't have moved that garrison. Let's reinvade Tuva, though. I mean, that's fine. We have command power to do that. Scouts around Kembladir. Though Kembladir is taken by rebel troops, their scouts have been able to get a good idea of the happenings in the city. Currently, the rebels are facing harsh resistance in the city from Tuvan population who are not supportive of the rebellion against Ungern due to the Russian minority being highly supportive of Ungern's regime and not having heard of the chaos in the capital. Therefore, the rebels are struggling to keep hold of the city as their troops approach from Kovd. March. Uh-oh. These are gonna be one of these shitty events over here. The troops that are marching into Kembladir from Kov have arrived, and the situation of the rebels have improved only little. The rebels in the city have been facing resistance from the Tuvan and Russian population, but they are beginning to consolidate their power. To take advantage of the resistance they're facing before it disappears, some officers are saying our troops should just charge into the city and fight alongside resisting Tuvans and Russians to swiftly take the city. Other officers who are more wary and saw the success of a prolonged siege at Kov are saying a similar approach should be taken. If the troops around the city just starve out, the rebels will be forced to give up. I don't know. I mean, we're pretty crazy. We're batshit crazy, right? It's like, you never know which one of these is going to be the right one. You never know. If you have option A, you have option B. And one of these, sometimes it just gets you cooped, sometimes it doesn't. How does this game look like? We're at 46, and everyone else is still pretty low right now. Suckdem is close. Let's go ahead and charge in there. Hopefully we win. Olastai becomes the epicenter. With Kov falling back into government hands a few days ago, Olastai has officially become the center of the continued revolt. It has become clear that the city will have to be soundly retaken before the rebellion is actually beaten, as it is necessary for the administration of the western region. We can now stand. Government troops take Kembladir. Government troops charged in the city, fighting off an initial wave of rebels and quickly arming the Tuvan resistance fighters. After that, it became a case of going street by street, house by house, clearing out any leftover rebels. Though the city has been retaken, many streets are more rebel than street, and the cost will be high to repair the broken city. Alright, well, we got our shit back. Let's get some aristocrat, and we'll fight some more resistance. Get that PP, and we'll do the siege. Siege of Olastai. Now that we have massed a large force of troops and a couple miles away from Olastai, it's time to take back the city. The question remains whoever had it is to be done. Oh, jeez. This is like another one where it's like you never know, to attack head on or to, I think, maybe we try to starve them out this time. We'll try to starve them out. Rebels forced out of the city. What a success! With the city surrounded by the bandits, the bandits were forced to eventually try to escape. An escape that failed due to the strength of our force. Exactly as planned. Kahar's clash with settled Khalkha Mongols. Mongolia is a nation made up of many ethnicities who all fall under the title of Mongolian. Though Khalkha Mongols make up the majority of the overall population, the West is dominated by different tribes of Oryats, and in Zilangol in Inner Mongolia, society is dominated by Kahar Mongols. There have been animosity between Khalkha and Kahar Mongols in the region for decades for many reasons, most recently because the majority of Zhu Shuzhang's force that occupied Mongolia in 1919 were Kahar Mongols, who treated the Khalkha Mongols extremely poorly. With some of the peacekeeping military leaders of the region being forced to move to the west, tensions have flared in Zilangol once again, with Kahar and Khalkha groups clashing, and banditry from both sides increasing. Are we not all Mongolian? rebels are losing ground. As expected, following a few months of open revolt in the west, the rebels are losing ground fast. With most of their forces moving to cities and towns, government forces were easily able to crush any stragglers left behind. Victory against the rebels in the west could only be weeks away. We must secure our position politically. Excellent. Excellent. So we've done it. We got on the right path. We got Ungern's Mongolia. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. So we can do our focus tree now. So we have to have. So I guess we're doing whatever this is first. Alright, so let's see here. We can display our Buddhism. You can become a new Buddhist icon after purging the princes. You can ignore the princes. And they'll help us deal with either the Buddhists or the Democrats. Or we can bribe them and get the cult of personality. So I guess those are our options, and then we have to take these things, and we can secure power. Let's see here. So who do we want to side with? Do you want Buddhists? Base stability, political power, authoritarian down. You're going to take like pretty similar hits no matter which way you go. You have Auth Dem. The princes are not truly the issue we are facing. We must focus on other avenues and perhaps even get support from them in defeating other factions. Though nobles are opposing government currently, we can easily take some of the less loyal nobles by bribing them. The princes should be so pliant towards conformity after decades of Chinese suppression. Many in Mongolia do not believe Ungern Sternberg is committed enough to protecting Buddhism and acting in a Buddhist lifestyle. Some public displays of him and some loyal monks meditating and holding some speeches should convince them otherwise. Decisions. I don't know. Don't know which way to pick here. Princes have always been a problem, holding far too much influence in the Mongolian government. It's time they see their end. I don't know. Like I really don't. I don't like a. I think it's a red menace here. That's the problem. To be honest, it's always the red menace. So let's we'll pick up that political power. We will destroy the Democrats, and they are the next closest faction there. Power struggle in the Ma clique. For many years, the Ma clique has been led by family elder Ma Fujiang. In the clique, he was seen as a pillar of stability. He would stop any power struggle occurring between the very divided Ma families. Many in China even see him as a stabilizer of the Northwest, ending Tibetan and their own aggression into Chinese soil. However, news has just reached us that Ma Fujiang has passed away. Currently, he has been replaced by Ma Lin, but another Ma Bufang, and Ma Lin are already embroiled in the power struggle. This could be a perfect opportunity to take advantage of the Ma clique's position. Good to know. Good to know. Like, I don't know if this is actually relevant anymore. Bandits crush nomadic village. With the rebels losing ground, many of the small rebel cells have begun to get more extreme. A large group of the refugees have just reached the recently retaken Cobb, telling stories of how the nomadic village had been pillaged by bandits and outlaws. This has occurred multiple times now in Cobb, and it's becoming clear the city will need funding to be able to house and feed the influx of refugees from the steppes. Yeah, I guess we can afford to pay for that. So we get stability war support. And this is party popularity over here. Bribe aristocrats. I don't know if you want to do that. So reinforce troops in the west, and I don't know. I guess we'll fight resistance in Urga again. Like, I'm not sure if we're clear from being cooped or something like that. Do the ensure officer loyalty. Bayan Delagar gathers force on the Ulanqalab border. Mongol General Bayan Delagar has generally stayed uninvolved with the power struggles happening currently in Urga. For years, he has continued to live in Inner Mongolia, raiding Chinese shipments through the region. Now we have just received reports that Bayan Delgar has gathered a large force on the border with the Maklik, like to do some border raids into Ulanklab. Cool. I guess he's raiding the Maklik. We've done that. We'll do the Urga military parade. Bayan Delgar makes his choice with his large force moving through Ulanklab. A thought occurred to Bayan Delgar. If he was to take Guisui, he would have de facto control of the province. With the Mas struggling with internal conflict, it should not be difficult to move his force to the region and take the city. Now it is up to, now it is whether he decides to do it or not. Do it. I guess that's like this province over here, huh? Hunger riot in Urga. With government focus being on Western revolt and the political clashes in Urga, the people of the city have been feeling forgotten. With shipments being raided by bandits and roads in disrepair, the poorest of the city are beginning to starve. Now riots are beginning to break out in the poorest areas of the city, and if we are to remedy this, we must send out supports to protect food shipments and distribute more expensive food to the lower classes. So we either get the monks or the princes, or we can put it down with force, which seems bad. I think let's get the monks to deal with it. Got that. Pressed any opponent. Rezikin and Moron. I think that's this guy over here, Boris Rezikin. No bio. Boris Rezikin, Ungern's right-hand man, and his RVK has been in the dark as to the happenings across the country for months. When revolt broke out into the west, Ungern sent him to Moron to act as a bulwark against revolutionary activity spreading across the country. However, the roads between Moron and Urga are poor at the best of times, and with banditry activity plaguing the nation, the government has been unable to communicate with him for weeks. We have finally learned what happened in the city, with some merchants traveling to Urga from Moron, bringing stories of how the city became a hotbed for revolutionary activity, and Rezikin implemented extremely brutal measures to crush it. No doubt this will hurt our popularity. Damn him. Assassination attempt on Ungern Sternberg. Riding his horse in a parade through Urga, a sudden noise deafened the crowds, a shot that echoed through the city, that missed Baron Ungern by 2 inches. The assassin, a 23-year-old man, was shot almost immediately. Ungern ordered the marching army to fire on the crowd. Frenzied by the attempt on his life, the crowd dispersed into a panic as civilians or possible MIN agents were killed by Ungern's troops. After the city had calmed down, the assassin has been identified as a member of the Mongol Arden Nam. However, many peasants in Urga claim this to be fabricated by our government. Though the Baron survived, this attempt showed weakness, and the chaos Ungern caused by killing the possible MIN agents can't be good for popularity. Well, at least he survived. What a crazy guy there. He's like, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and just shoot up our city. Concentrated industry, probably want that. Might be worth it to pick up a doctrine too. Let's get this tech first over here for electromech. Start building guns that don't suck. So we're already doing that stuff. Arrest any opponent. And we will secure power. Lamas support the Budian Zavlal. Though political chaos has engulfed Urga for months now, the Lamas of the most notable monasteries have remained silent on which side they support. Through the Ganda-Tekachichen monastery currently houses the 7th Chankaya Katuku, the Lamas there have so far refused to pledge their support for him. However, just this morning, many of the Lamas of the main monasteries in Urga have declared their support for the Budian Zavlal, stating that they should solely lead the country to keep Mongolian Buddhism safe. Interesting. We have taken Ulanklab. After Bayan Dalgar began to move towards Guisui to take Ulanklab, he was met with surprisingly little resistance from the Maklik. Though he had to fight some small battles with border troops and had to fight through Guisui garrison, but now it seems the Maklik have retreated from Ulanklab. Finally, Mongolian families have been reunited. Mongolian rule in the region has been restored. Good work. Ungern Sternberg defeats Mongol rebels. Okay, so we do get a hidden tree. There was It was a pump fake. There is shit down here. So that's unfortunate that we can't check to see what the other paths would have gotten us. Ungern Sternberg defeats Mongol rebels. Much like Tibet, news from the Mongolian capital Urga is sparse. For many years, status quo of the nation has been the leadership of the Russian Baron Roman von Ungern Sternberg. However, recently news has come out that after a revolt in the west of the nation, Ungern's rule was seriously under threat from all sides. While his army fought in the west, however, he was able to keep hold, even after multiple assassination attempts. In a press release to the few media groups in Urga, Ungern's right-hand man, Boris Rezekin, stated that the Baron is harrowed by the events and that a new crackdown is necessary to keep order in the country. Ungern himself refused to speak to the press, and the next day he commanded the press to leave the capital. The Mad Baron has done it! Alright, so I'll have to take a look at that focus tree. I think I'm going to have to end this video over here. I got something else to take care of. So that's episode 1 for this campaign. We'll continue, and we'll see what the focus tree gets us. Like maybe there'll be like some more goals down there or something like that we'll be able to do, and see like kind of what direction we go in from here. Alright. I hope you enjoyed the video. Love you, Freeman, signing out.